afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the behind-the-scenes stage here at Celebration 6. I hope you're having a great day 2 of Celebration 6. How many 4-day badge holders do we have here? Oh, look at that. You guys definitely know how to make the most out of your celebration. If you haven't been to the behind-the-scenes stage yet, I'm Pablo Hidalgo. I'm the host from Lucasfilm. And here's the stage where we go deep into behind the scenes of making of the movie, the TV show, the theme park rides, and yes, also collectibles, and that's why you're here. And these guys are seasoned pros. They've done many celebrations and Comic-Con panels before, so I'm going to really hand it over to them. Daryl the Priest, who heads up the Star Wars team over at Hasbro, is going to take the show from now. And he's brought a great team from Hasbro and a great presentation. And without further ado, Daryl, please take it away.
Thank you, Pablo. Whoa. I could have watched that pre-show for like the full 60 minutes. Probably more entertaining than we're going to be today. But those photos are amazing. So Pablo's already done my introduction. We'll have our team introduce each other in turn. So Mark, take it away.
Mark Boudreau, design, 35 years in counting.
Yeah.
Brian Merton, I do Star Wars now. Responsible for the log.
Design.
David Venemeyer, sculpting for Star Wars.
And I'm Eric Siebenaller. I am the lead designer on the Fighter Pods figures.
Yeah. And at some point they say that just about everybody at Hasbro is on the Star Wars team at one time. And Eric, how long have you actually been at Hasbro now?
10 years.
10 years. And it's shocking that Eric hasn't been brought into the Star Wars fold at some point until now, but we're pleased to get him on Fighter Pods. So it's been his big new introduction. And he's got a great hand. So if you guys want to get a unique Fighter Pod, Eric can come on down to the booth. He'll draw it for you.
You guys want some free sketches, just stop by. I'll be happy to draw for you.
What you look like as a fighter pod, whatever. So, all right, well, take it away. So, just to kind of set the expectations today, we're probably not going to blow you away with how many new things we're going to introduce, because at Comic-Con we actually went a little bit longer than we normally do in showcasing what we're going to introduce in 2013. So it was all about how Vintage is going to go on hiatus and Droid Factory is coming out. So we showed a little bit more than we normally would, just because we knew that was important to talk about that. We did bring a few surprises. But what I will tell you is, while today may be a little bit lighter than you're used to seeing, we're going to have what we hope is a phenomenal lineup for you at Toy Fair. So in Toy Fair in February, we always save a lot for what's coming out next year. Next year will be, we think, a very great year for Star Wars collecting in general, especially for what Hasbro has to offer. So not to reveal too many things, but we'll give you a few surprises and hints. And one thing that broke earlier today, they arm wrestled me and I lost. We will be introducing the large size X-Wing that we have in vintage packaging next year. So that'll be a store exclusive at a retailer, TBD. So that's a little hint that's not in here, but we can't confirm that. The little goodies like that will be, that's a big goodie, but
We just
that
want
will
to
be
tell you
coming.
which X-Wing it is.
Yeah, which X-Wing? Go ahead.
I'm not saying.
Oh, okay, so we'll leave that till later. All right, so let's start in. So we're going to introduce Droid Factory Wave 2 to you, as well as go through some new movie heroes and Clone Wars heroes that will come out in the United States here in spring. Talk about fighter pods, and Mark has brought a great reveal for our Class 1 and Class 2 vehicles that should be really cool. And then we'll talk about a very special exhibition in France, which is pretty amazing. So everybody going to Paris, I encourage you to book your tickets now, because it's going to be great. And then we'll do some exclusives, a sneak peek for next year. So, Build-A-Droid. So if you haven't heard about it, Droid Factory, which was the very successful vintage type line we had out from 2008 to begin in 2010, it is coming back. We're very excited that Droid Factory is back. It's a personal favorite of mine. I'm a huge fan of droids, and inspired by that original Droid Factory from Kenner. That was the inspiration for kind of the build-a-pieces you can get that all combine together. It will take the place of Vintage. So if you haven't heard, Vintage is going on hiatus. And after 2.5 years and about 100 and I think 16 figures, plus or minus probably a few running change paint variations, Vintage had a much longer stay than we originally imagined. When we actually set out to do Vintage with Lucas, Vintage up to this point had been a series of 6 or 8 different, mini-series that would come out every couple of years. Big fan favorite, but we said it's got a bigger potential to last longer. And with Lucasfilm, we said it won't stay forever. We don't want it to wear out its welcome. And it ended up running for 2.5 years, farther than we thought, but we felt it was the right time to kind of put it back in the bottle a little bit. We don't want people to, just think of the Star Wars line as Vintage and kind of, not feel that delight you see when you finally see it at the store. So it's going back. Droid Factory makes its return. And we'll have over 30 different figures in 2013. And each figure comes with a unique droid part. And each wave builds 1 or 2 droids. So every figure will have a unique part, every new figure. And this is what the card looks like. So it's inspired by Vintage. We wanted to keep that same color scheme, that legendary black and silver going. This will be the shape of the card. So very much like the Darth Vader card, that iconic card from 2005, or some of our clone and Stormtrooper helmet cards. We're using the iconic astromech form for the card back. And this time we'll have the droid part on the front, which is really important. And I think I'll turn it over to Brian. You want to take it away here and talk about the figures coming out in Wave 2?
Yeah, sure. I think I can share this one with Dave a bit. Obviously, Mace Windu, he has... he's a little bit more realistic. He's a realistic version of the Clone Wars. And then Big Starklighter, he's finally had his height corrected. And is that one you wanted to say something about, Dave?
Well, it's an all-new portrait that we did for Biggs, and I think it came out pretty good. And the height, like Brian said, we made sure this one was going to work for that. And then the Luke, too, is mostly all new, and he is the new medallion is purely new. We put in much more detail in that, a new portrait. The new blaster that he comes with has so much more detail involved in that also.
So there was a little trivia question yesterday for anybody who was here for the Steve Sansweet, Dan Curto, Paul Harrison book panel. So trivia question was from yesterday was, what is the most commonly produced character in the entire Hasbro line over its course of history? I had an intuition on the answer, but it's actually Luke. We've done more versions of Luke than any other character. And Dave, you've probably personally sculpted 30 of them.
Yeah, well, he does change a lot from movie to movie, so you got a lot of reference to work with.
A lot of variety. So, kind of a personal challenge too. Let's keep that going. We want to get to 100 Lukes in 5 years. Luke in every way. All right. So keep going with Wave 2. Ryan, Mara Jade.
Okay, we got Mara Jade, who obviously was the Fans' Choice winner, and she did actually, I'm told, that she beat out the Emperor's Hand version, and that's why you see the Skywalker version.
Yeah, I know Lucasfilm was very thrilled about us doing this character in this outfit as well, so she does have a lot of nice features. I mean, the dual lightsabers, the lit, non-lit, the new blaster, the fact that her holster can go on her hip or on the small of her back. The lightsaber attaches to her hip. The hair is a separate piece, glued in place, so it's got more, a nicer feel and rotates better, articulates better on the figure. So she was a fun one to work on.
And gives us an opportunity to do a loop to pair with her someday, right?
Yeah,
The
exactly.
the Ep2 clone pilot does have an updated helmet, and the A-Wing pilot is movie accurate to somebody who is in the scene where Han is asking that someone not scratch the Millennium Falcon, I believe.
And so it's important to note here too that in Droid Factory we're carrying on the exact spirit of the vintage figures. So these are all highly articulated figures. The line will be chock full of new introductions or classic takes on our core figures. So it keeps the spirit of vintage going. So it's continuous. It's just on a different kind of card format. Darth Vader Bespin. What's different about that?
Let's see, why don't you take this, Dave?
Well, he's got the interchangeable arm that you can put on the blast deflection from Han and then iconic scene on Cloud City, as well as the other hand, you can stick Han's blaster that he comes with. It fits another hand, so he's catching it, so he can reenact that whole scene depending on, second by second take.
I believe he's welcoming everyone to dinner. And then Captain Rex is a realistic version of the Clone Wars figure. If you want to stop by and talk to Dave later, he can show you some of the actual wax pieces of that.
I think I might have the head, I'm not quite sure, but this is an all-new portrait. I think it came out pretty good, but you can judge for yourself. I'd say come by the Hasbro booth, and we're going to have a display going for sculpting, for digital and traditional sculpting. So feel free to stop by and say hi.
And Captain Rex is symbolic of something that we hope to do, which is periodically, every wave, every other wave, make sure that we're capturing a great Clone Wars character in the realistic line to keep that. Now that we've started to kind of cross that over, I think the fan reception has been very strong, so we'll look to keep that going.
There's some great new canon.
Yeah, great new figures to draw from. And there's another important point I'll make about Droid Factory. So we know we've had distribution problems on vintage. Our heads aren't in the sand. It's been a difficult year. It's been a tough year for you to find every wave. That problem will be corrected. So we're crazy if we don't learn from what's happening in the market right now. And everything that's going on this year is influencing the amount release that we release for Droid Factory when it starts in February. So Wave 1 will start in February. We're showing here Wave 2, which will follow within 2 months after that. But it's all about trying to establish that regular flow, and it comes down to calling the right number. So it goes in, sells out, the next wave flows in. So we're learning from this year. To really call that number for next year. So we are hopefully getting it right, kind of with the the new math that we'll have for next year. And then these are the droids for Wave 2.
Right, we have an authentic Mace Windu droid and a droid that is Jabba's droid, as seen in the pod race scene. And those are our first appearance.
And then we have, I think we have all the Wave 1 figures down in the booth so folks can see the Wave 1 figures and the droids from Wave 1 as well. We're all complete Droid Factory through the early part of spring. So for movie heroes, we're showing 2 more movie heroes that are coming in spring. So it's an Episode 2 battle droid, maroon, classic maroon deco, Geonosis Arena deco. And then the Episode 4 Sand Trooper, kind of to complete or complement our light-up lightsaber figures, we'll actually have a light-up Imperial signature weapon. So we know which weapon is that?
Yeah, these figures are awesome. The battle droid, you press a button in the small of his back and he explodes, impact from the stormtrooper. So, and that the rifle, we had to, it's a slightly bit oversized, but it lights up really nice and it's really dramatic. There's all kinds of ports where the
That's
light
a really
comes
cool
out.
figure.
So they were a lot of fun and they're really fun to play with, especially going hand in hand with the rest of the figures in the line.
Now these figures will come out as several carry-forward figures will on our new Yoda-inspired card for spring, which will be about a 6 or 7 month run on a special Yoda-inspired card line. And then moving into Clone Wars, right?
Clone Wars, we have a brand new Obi-Wan and a brand new Anakin and a battle droid to fill out the whole play. Let's see. Actually, these figures were done by Erica Aranya, who you saw at a Comic-Con, so I apologize for not being incredibly up to date on these figures. What I can tell you is that the 501st Jetpack is a first appearance guy, and I've seen that figure. That's pretty cool. And we have a updated Captain Rex. His weapon is new.
Yeah, the weapon for Rex, the first time around we did it, it was a projectile firing weapon, for the play pattern. So it was a fun item, but we wanted to go a little bit more realistic with it. So this one has a feature where it will spin but it's more accurate to the scale for the figure. So it's got some functional features that are just like the handle will move and rotate, the barrel will spin, so those kind of features to it. But we were going for a little bit more scale and authenticity.
And then, turn it over to Eric to talk about fighter pods.
Yeah, so the basic charter I was given coming on board to the team was, let's develop this new battling game for Star Wars, and it encompassed 3 basic parameters. We wanted new figure styles that could be a little more accessible to the younger generation of Star Wars fans. We also wanted the vehicles to be accessible to these fans as well. And given that there's all different types of fans, the vehicles, the figures, and also the pods, the battling element itself is kind of what's driving this whole thing. So there's lots of different ways to play. There's tons of figures. We had over 250 figures in the first year, and going into 13, we're still moving strong. And without getting into too many of the characters here, there's a bunch. This is not even, this looks like maybe it's like just maybe about 75% of the wave, but there's lots of good stuff coming forward, and I hear that some people are very excited to see more Ewoks and Jawas and stuff in the line, so those are coming down the pipe. And here, I can speak a little bit about this. This is really our online segment. If you guys have stopped by the panel and gotten any of our free fighter pod samples, there's also a little piece of paper that comes with it. It has a code on the back. And as you go online and you play the game, you can do lots of cool things with the pods and aiming, and it's like glamorized bowling. But as you use these codes that we were handing out to you, and they come in our standard packages as well, you can access new features and new content on the website. So try it out. Highly recommend it. It's really fun. It's a good way to just enjoy a simple game without getting too overly involved in complex.
And so this is an important part of our new strategy to engage kids, is really surround them with a new experience. And like Eric said, we really wanted to create what we call a new expression for Hasbro to own, our own, small, cute, but with a lot of attitude expression. So we really, love the way Fighter Pods has evolved, and you can go on fighterpods.com and not only play the game, but check out what we call the podcasts, which are little 30-second clips of animation that we created that are just about pranks and fun that these guys are having. It's all about taking down the other guy, but you can do it in any number of ways. There's the aggressive way that we have coming in the battle game, but there's also the kind of the fun attitude that these guys have to basically take each other down. So it's all about battling and brawling and with a cool little attitude.
It's the lighter side of the darker nature of this IP. It's it tends to be a pretty dark story of a lot of serious things happening, but we wanted to make light of things and kind of put a positive spin on it.
Pun intended.
Also in 2013, we're going to introduce larger launchers. What basically happens is these red and blue tubes on top of the vehicles can be removed, and then you can use them to pick up pods on the table rapidly, slam them down on top of the vehicle again, and there's a little trigger on the back that you can just launch all these pods out very rapidly and just create havoc all over the battlefield.
And these tubes are really fun. If you've ever had played tennis or seen how you pick up tennis balls, they're kind of like and you reload your thing and then you plug it back in. It's really cool and innovative.
It's visceral.
Yeah. All right. And Mark, this is your baby.
To continue on with the mini rig tradition that we started many years ago, we will continue to develop new vehicles. Actually, I have samples with me that we'll have to discuss at the booth, so please come on by and we can take a closer look at these. But to start, we have a Jedi Starfighter for Yoda, and what we've changed the way we look at Class 1s a little bit. We actually are making these into little mini battle packs. You'll notice that you have a hero and a combatant, or a villain and a combatant, depending upon what side of the fence the vehicle is on. So you have a complete play pattern with one purchase, which is, we think is a really great way, especially with these lower price points. So you have Yoda and his Jedi Starfighter, but then it comes with a super battle droid. And it's got great little features. You'll notice that the dome that's on Yoda's Jedi Starfighter actually is removable, and it's compatible with all the Build-A-Droid components that we have. So you can swap out heads and do all kinds of fun things. So it's a really nice kind of interplay in between segments. The one in the middle is actually a vehicle that we developed that interfaces with the MTT. For those who have been down to see the demonstration of the MTT, you'll notice a large open compartment at the back of the vehicle that I open up and I throw figures in, and I can say you can use them for a lot of storage. Well, guess what? The storage is really for that vehicle. The vehicle folds up and actually attaches to the inside of that cover. So when you open up that cover, you'll reveal this small flying vehicle that complements the ground forces that you get on your Millennium Falcon, on your MTT.
It's wicked smart.
Yeah, sorry. I can't help it, you know. It's just, and so that the primary pilot here is obviously the battle droid, but the combatant is Obi-Wan.
And do you have one of those down there to play with?
Yes, we do.
Awesome.
And then last but not least, we have a refresh of the original dropship that we did. The original version was in red, and it was Clone Wars. This time we're doing a 501st deco scheme, but we've moved it over to the movie side of the line, and we're actually including a movie version of the pilot, as well as in Battle Droid Episode 2 that you'll see, the red one. So with a simple deco change and a reworking of the characters, we have a whole new way to play with the vehicle.
I'm glad we're able to get the last one back out again. It's a really cool vehicle. It saw scanter distribution the last time it was out. It was produced in pretty small quantities just to get it out, one of those kind of last waves that we had, but I'm very thrilled to bring it back. So Mark, on the MTT Droid Fighter, does it come with a miniature MTT? Is that what I'm looking at?
Like that.
Or is that in scale? It's like 10 times the size.
Right. The vehicle, well, you can actually fly in that vehicle. You know, it's actually real person size there in that picture. But it just shows the smaller element. Just shows you the kind of relationship that the vehicle will have with the MTT toy. If I hadn't picked that up, yeah, I would love to have a full size version.
Yeah,
of that.
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
All right, class 2.
Okay, Class 2, this is a brand new introduction for us. We're taking our classic signature vehicles and sort of reworking them. This will be at a lower price point, $20 price point, so it's a much more accessible price point. We have samples of these as well, so please come down to the showroom and we'll talk to you about these. They are smaller, but it's still 3 3/4 inch scale. We've simplified the construction a bit, to help us with that lower price point. But we've endeavored to keep the same detail that everyone expects to see in Star Wars vehicles. And even though they're a little bit smaller, I don't think they lose any of their playability. And the nice thing about it is that with the smaller scale, it makes them easier to play with. You can actually have you can have the Jedi Starfighter chasing the Slave One and vice versa. Where, as you try to use the last Slave One I did, that's about like this big, it's kind of hard to handle 2 vehicles at once. But now you have a scale that's much more friendly, user-friendly, and hopefully something that really will allow a more complete play pattern to happen, and extend that and have a lot more fun.
It's really important for us to make sure that our vehicles are affordable to kids. So collectors are a very important target. We'll continue with the higher end vehicles, the larger scale in the formats that we can. But for our main line, it's all about affordability. And we think back to the days when you were kids getting Star Wars figures. It was affordable to get a lot of them. And Star Wars is that kind of fantasy more so than any other, where you really need a lot of guys. We could probably sit here and name 15 or 20 able characters that you need to have to complete the best battles, not to mention all the clones and stormtroopers. So a big focus for us is getting back to those affordable price points so parents can afford to get things for their kids. And the way that our current, vehicles are going, the Class 2s, I mean, we're pushing $30 and more, just based on the cost that increase every year. So Mark, he's really understated the genius of these vehicles is keeping those iconic designs, adding in play features, and the detailed elements that still make them, great Hasbro Star Wars vehicles, down to $20 again to reset that. It's a pretty amazing feat for us. So when you actually see these, I hope you'll appreciate it for what they are, which is, great kid toys that parents can afford to get. You want to say anything in particular about any of these three?
Well, I will say that each of them, they do have projectile firing weapons, so you still have that nice battle play. The tank, you can actually have 2 clone troopers in there, so that's really cool, so you don't lose any playability there. And the slave one is really cool. It's a slave one. What can I say? It's Jango Fett, and well, and maybe eventually it'll be Boba Fett's, but that's one of my favorite vehicles, and it's really strange for me to look at the 3 different versions that we've done over the years. It's like, this was the baby one, and then we got the big one, and so it's quite an experience, and it's a challenge and a cool undertaking to be able to deliver, as Daryl mentioned, at a lower price, which is really important, but you still want to deliver that iconic, and traditional play that we've always been able to do. So I think we've been able to pull that off. So please come down to the booth, and we'll have them out so everybody can take a look at them.
See for yourself.
Yep, see for yourself.
And next up, so this is book your tickets to Paris here, because this is going to be a really, really cool exhibition. So partnering with the sciencefictionarchives.com, with actually our Hasbro office, our French Hasbro office. There's a very special exhibition at the Louvre, so the Arts Décoratifs in Paris, part of the Louvre. They're really going to retrace the 35 years of the history of Star Wars toys as told by the Kenner and Hasbro archives. So I don't know how the folks there got so many of our archival samples, but I assume one at a time on the collector market is a world-class collection that's going to be on display in the greatest art museum in the world. So this is an amazing exhibition. And there'll be 400 toys, on exhibition. It's the collection of fans who assembled this, and it's going to be pretty amazing. It will run from October through March 15th, so book it now. We're very proud of this, and this is our contribution to pop culture. Mark, a lot of your work is going to be on display there. Prototypes, I'm sure we wish we had back, but
yeah, I recognize some of them there.
But so this is amazing. So we definitely thank the folks at sciencefictionarchives.com to make this happen. It's very, very cool. And then let's take a look at some exclusives. Brian, you want to drive here?
Sure, I think I can. We have a Night Sister Sith Witch-ish kind of character. Which we promised would come out, and well, there she is. And then we have the Darth Maul with the mechanical legs, and Savage Opress in the armored version, which I guess people have been clamoring for more of.
And we'll see this on shelf at Target in December. On shelf now.
Yeah, on shelf now. This is the Power Droid is one of my favorite pieces that I did, because I got to kind of make up the inside of it. So you can take off the lid of them and check out and see what's underneath. And Dave also was instrumental in sculpting this, and hopefully I wasn't too much of a pain in the butt.
No, he's a block, but he's an awesome block.
But, me?
Yeah, that's just our name. But, the thing with the old Gon droid, it had that function, which was pretty neat. It was fun to make the legs move, but it was really difficult to get it to stand. So one of the things that we did with this was we got rid of that function, and we left the surprise. You pull off the top, but it's got added articulation. Who would think you could put articulation in a Gon droid? But he's got a lot of articulation in the ankles and in the upper legs, so you can pose him out how you want him. Get him to stand really nice.
All right, and the Death Star droid on this is the build version. And then it's the remainder of that 3-pack.
So these are in vintage packages. They continue that series that Target's had. I think these are the ninth and 10th.
I've lost count there.
Yeah, so maybe 10th or 11th. You guys probably know better.
Know
but,
better than us.
but I have a question, Brian. The vintage tenor power droid was blue-gray.
It was blue-gray, and I hope I'm not going to take much flack for not doing the blue version, but a simple recoloration and
Maybe down the road in the future.
shouldn't be down.
Okay, possible. That's good. The next set in the same series.
Yeah, the Snaggletooth was kind of fun to do. We looking at all the various references of him from the.
Between Snaggletooth to Keel, and there's so many slight variations of this type of an alien. So we want to try and match exactly as much as we could to that specific character.
And we knew we didn't want to do the track-suited version from the Christmas specials.
Yeah.
I love that tracksuit.
All right. Fighter Pod.
Oh, the Fighter Pod exclusive. Well, Eric didn't seem to be able to get the one of the most requested huts into his stuff, or we just couldn't get it into the 3 3/4 inch line, so we were able to get him into this this wonderful tin. The Darth Maul in this tin is also different from the mainline Darth Maul in that he is completely metallic. It's pretty cool looking, if I don't say so myself.
So this set has been great to trick a lot of fan sites. Are you guys going to do Zero the Hutt? Yes. Yes, we will. But not the way you expect. I'm sorry. That's a cruel thing. Many people want to see Zero the Hutt as a 3 3/4 scale Hutt, but here he is. The only place for now, at least, you can get Zero.
At least we can say we did him.
That wasn't really very funny, was it? So.
The ATSD I went through quite a bit of pains to get this deco scheme as right as I could to replicate the walker. I believe it's Tempest 2 that is attacked by Chewie and a couple of little Ewok friends, right down to the scar in the front.
So this will be a Kmart exclusive. Look for that now, and Kmart will also have 2 more very special sets that complement the ATSD.
It also went through a bit of a deal trying to get the Endor ATSD crew as right as I possibly could. The great thing about this is that they're both super articulated. So if you want to army build 8 deep, as some people do, ATST crews, then then you can do that.
And this is this and the next set. I'll just go to the next set. So it's a companion piece. It will be in the assortment with the ATST crew. Who are these guys?
This is Wonka and Whittle, and they are the 2 that are in the ATST beating one of the drivers about the head with their clubs and axes. So between all these 3 sets, you can complete the entire scene of Tempest 2, and Chewie not included.
Now, we were faced with a choice with this set, and I think it turned out in a really great way. So originally, we were thinking that this would be one of the ultimate battle packs. So it'd be kind of in a window box with everything in a complete set, which would have looked really cool, would have been great, but the folks we worked with at Kmart decided that they really wanted to do this in a vintage play. And so basically, it enabled us to split into 3. The ATST by itself, which was great, and then find a new format. Luckily, we found that in the Vintage Heritage, looking through Steve Sansweet's invaluable first figure book, we found an analog for that in the history where you can put 2 figures together and and create a scene in the closed image box. So we said, look, it's in the spirit of vintage. Let's reintroduce this format and keep this going, just like we have with the 3-packs. And it seems to be a big success, at least from what we're hearing from fans. So this is a new model that we hope to keep going. So when we say that vintage is going away, we really mean the vintage single-carded figures is going away. Vintage in a new form, whether it's 2-packs, 3-packs, or vehicles, will still continue on for the exclusive program we have, and wherever we find the opportunity to get it in. So vintage will still stay out, in this kind of spirit. We certainly hope this 2-pack is a well-received format. We encourage everybody to go to Kmart, show your appreciation for it, because that will ensure that this continues. And we want to see more sets like this. The mind can just reel about the number of cool combinations and figures we can have.
Right, we've heard your voices loud and clear about the vintage issue, and for the vintage lovers, we've heard you, and we're moving on. My favorite. The Ewok pack, I love this pack. I guess all I really have to say is Nisa.
Yay!
And she does have...
I'll give you a clap.
Thank you. We do have the Nisa figure. Leland Chi did identify one of the on-screen Ewoks as Nisa and placed her at Bright Tree Village, and we've included her hat.
Her hooded cape.
Her hooded cape is from the cartoon, so you can definitely do that, and I think that's the one that everybody loves. But she was at Bright Tree Village, and I believe her hood is up in the upper right. So, and then also with Tippett, Tippett made 2 appearances in a Marvel comic, and one he has those really cool horns, and the other one he has a feathered hood, and we've done both of those. For Tebow, he appears multiple different ways, and we've been able to include both of his hats in this. So I hope you like this set.
Dave, you must have gone crazy sculpting all these.
Well, yeah, I watched the film like frame by frame, especially for Tebow, because I was trying to find the scene when he's wearing this hat, and then I kept discovering that there's actually 2 different scenes when he has the one hat and the other. And the primary scene that he's wearing, the one with the fangs and without the cowl, he wears that primarily throughout the whole show with their, they've got Luke and Han and everybody on this spigot and they're getting ready to cook them up. He's wearing that one. But then the scene when he surrenders, or when they're actually going to take the ATSTs, he's wearing the other one. So they switched it up a little bit when they were shooting the film, we noticed, so we wanted to include both sets.
Amazing set. Companion piece.
Yeah. Let's see, well, most of these are first appearance guys, character debuts. The thing that I can say about Porkins is we were very careful to be true to the actor likeness and still get him to be able to fit inside the X-Wing. Yeah, Dave actually had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Hookins before his untimely passing.
Yeah, I met him back in at Indianapolis Celebration a number of years ago. So we had a little party afterwards, a little get together with some of the actors were able to come, and I got to meet him. So that was a really nice experience. He was a very nice guy. So it was kind of a nice refresh to be able to do his character now, and relation to that.
The speeder bag. A lot of people have asked me what's my favorite piece, and I guess before, since the ATST, which was my favorite piece, I think this one is, because we went through super great pains to try and get a screen accurate vehicle where the pilot won't come off unless you want him to. I guess Dave almost probably killed me over probably the amount of changes that I had made on this. So.
Well,
I'm lucky to be alive.
It was a labor of love. I mean, as a kid, I had that toy, and I always kind of wanted to do one like it. And I mean, there's so many fun aspects about this, so many little hidden details that we put in it. I mean, obviously the large detail is you lift up the front canopy and you can see the the jet engine essentially that's powering this thing. So that's kind of fun. Even underneath the little fenders on the back side, I always notice that, you know, from the rear you can see this power plant or something that's riding on, but there's little slits in these fenders, and you look through those, there would be no detail. So we added detail in there with this. You know, the leg struts that he's standing on to power it up, they're clutched, so they'll remain in play where you want them. So if you set them down, they'll remain in the position and they won't just flop out of the way. You know, he does come with this added play value tripod that you can disassemble and reassemble in another configuration and snap it underneath it, so it's got a flight mode, and then you can take it out and battle people. And then the biggest aspect is the base that you can plug this whole figure on to achieve different flight patterns and how you can pose him out or display this character in mode. The biker himself on it has a little added articulation too, especially the neck, to achieve better, you know, positioning while he's in the right.
So you can actually see where he's going.
Yeah, he's not looking at the ground.
That's why they kept running into those trees. The other thing that we listen to you guys when you talk to us, and one of the things that we made up, but it really helps the bike itself, is there's a little kickstand in the front. So when you put the bike down, it'll stay parallel to the ground, and the front is not resting on the ground and eventually causing the struts to take a shape.
So it's an amazing piece, and Brian will be happy to demonstrate it. So we've got one out of the case down in the booth. It's completely mind blowing.
Yeah, sure. If you want to come by, I'll let you play with it, and you can knock your socks off.
So look for that very, very soon. And then
I'm just gonna have to let Mark talk about this because I can't. If Mark is here, then nobody else can talk about it.
Well, I will say that it was an honor and a privilege to be able to work on the first one, or help, you know, work on the first one, all the variations in between, and a few years back doing the brand new Falcon. So what Brian has done here is we've taken the existing Falcon, but as you can see in the photograph, we've added a contemporary twist to the classic vintage package. So actually I was called up one day and said, hey Mark, can you take a photograph of one of your vintage Falcons? Hopefully you still have one in the box. For some reason I still have one in the box. And I was able to take photographs of the packaging. And so our package department took all of the reference materials that I took from the package that I had, and then translated that into a contemporary version of that using the new product. So you have the same feel that you had in the original packaging, but with the new product, and it's really cool. Come down and on the booth if you haven't had a chance to come down there. We have a sample of the Falcon, but then we also have the sample of the vintage box, and it's pretty impressive.
so
The art director's son actually,
Yes, that's his
actually
son.
looked a lot like the original kid. So.
Yeah.
So for those of you who knew Dave Reeves, who was on the Star Wars team for a long time, he's moved to another part in Hasbro. That's his son. So one of the final pieces he directed was his own son. That's pretty cool.
Nice way to leave the brand and
Yep.
little legacy there.
Maybe kick him off. No, he's gone on to great things. One note on this. So the Millennium Falcon inside is exactly the same as the previous one that came out, the BMF, that this gentleman over here cited as his favorite toy. We did that deliberately because we didn't want to, while the Millennium Falcon did change subtly from one film to the next, we didn't want to basically make anybody have to buy a $150+ vehicle again for the subtle change. So literally it's the same Millennium Falcon in a vintage package. So if you want to have it in a vintage package, now you can have it, but don't feel compelled.
Right, and if you weren't able to get it the first time around, here's the best of both worlds.
Right, and this has been such a successful vehicle that this is actually its third release, so you may not know this, we keep releasing it, so this time we actually were able to put it in a different package. Keeps coming out. Ooh, what's this?
Let's see. Well, it looks like we have indoor hat. What we've done with this is we've updated the colors, put the mud on the feet, and for better or worse, the driver is different. The Hoff driver has the white gloves, but it seemed to me that it would be really silly to have white gloves on a muddy planet. So So I gave him black gloves.
And then
Jocasta. I guess Jocasta would be the fearsome Jedi Temple archivist. I also have her down in the booth, so if you want to come down and have a closer look at the figure, hold her in your hands. I guess most of the Easter eggs that I spoke about at Comic-Con have been kind of revealed. She has a force shush. She can get her hands right up to her lips, and she has 2 lightsabers, a lit one and an unlit one. She has her battle bag, and the Dooku bust. Underneath the Dooku bust, there is a hidden holocron cube. So come down and take a look at it.
And look for that at Brian's Toys. Definitely give them your business. Let them know that you fans who have kept Jocasta at the top of the fans' choice poll for the last several years, that you know, vote for that. And Brian's Toys stepped up and decided to to really support her, and we're thrilled to give them really their first exclusive.
There's one more thing that I want to say about, a lot of people have asked me a question about this, about her neck articulation. And what I wanted to say was, usually I did not give her a ball neck, because a lot of times when we do that, the portrait becomes distorted during tooling, and I felt that her portrait was super unique and very important to her. So I did give her her head is on the neck, so it's a single plane articulation for a better, cleaner, closer, more accurate portrait.
What's this, Brian?
I don't think I want to say anything about this. The only thing I want to say about this is, well, I'll repeat myself. We've heard people talk about their love of vintage packaging. And we're going to continue to listen and make things happen.
All right. If you haven't figured it out yet, we'll
I wonder what shape that
put
is.
what shape it is. We'll have more details at Toy Fair. This should tell you everything, though. So, hopefully, many requests will be answered with this one. And that's it. Thank you. So thanks for coming, and thanks for your support, especially. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing without you. Let's see. Do we have time for some questions?